Good morning time, good evening time, good afternoon time, whatever time it is in your part of the world. Of course, here it's early in the morning. That's why I still have my early morning voice. But nevertheless, I got a few tips I want to share with you guys that I think can be helpful and maybe not. These are mainly tips that can help guys with stealth bomber clone bikes or any bikes that has an enclosure such as this where everything is concealed and tucked inside. I know my buddy has a circuit. All his stuff is on the inside, concealed. Onyxes, for the most part, their stuff is on the inside. A lot of guys take their controllers, put them on the outside because they constantly overheat. But anyway, maybe these tips can help you guys out. And it's nothing serious, but anyway, let's get into it. First tip is you guys know if you have a Sabaton and you utilize the app and like to adjust your settings, and you still happen to be using a display, either UKC1 or whatever kind of display you're using, you could just be using a cell phone. And yeah, this cell phone that I use for my bike, people ask, how does it hold on there? Of course, I have some Velcro on it. And yes, that Velcro keeps it on there securely, by the way. Does not come off. I don't care what I do. It stays. Of course, someone would text me immediately once I start making a video. Even early in the morning. Never fails. But anyway, I'm back. And the first tip is, if you have your display connected, you cannot access the app unless you unplug that secondary harness on your display harness. There's a little secondary harness, you have to unplug that to utilize the Bluetooth and access the app. Normally, you would have to take off your side panel to access that little plug. So what I did was make sure my little plug stays outside the frame, and that's it right there. And at any time I can unplug it right here. Well, I need two hands to unplug it, but yeah, when I need to unplug it, it's right there, so I can unplug it. All right, so that's my first tip, because you would hate to have to take off that entire side panel to unplug that when you want to access the app. So whenever I want to go into my app and change some settings, amps or field weakening or e-brake regen, whatever, because I'm still in the phase where I'm messing around with settings, trying to see what works the best. Yeah, and the only way you can do that is to unplug that little secondary plug. And I routed it just so I could leave it on the outside of the frame like that. All right. Now, my second tip, and you'll have to use your imagination on this one because I'm not going to do it, is, in case of an emergency being when you need to disconnect your battery power cable for whatever reason. And I mainly said emergency. That's the key word. In an emergency, you do not want to have to go through removing all of these screws to access your battery power quick disconnect. Okay, so there's two things you could do. You could do your quick disconnect the same way I did that, and find some way to mount that quick disconnect on the outside, which I may do at some point, and perhaps put it under here on this panel some kind of way. But something else you could do is, I have my quick disconnect connector routed, so it's like right here, and it's pointing straight down on a nice little length of cable where it can be pulled. And if I ever needed to disconnect it pretty quickly, as you can see underneath the bottom of my frame, there's two thumb screws. There's one here and there's one here. Removing just those two would be a whole lot faster than trying to remove 2, 4, 6, 8 on the side. And so, like I said, by me having it routed where it's pointing straight down here, any emergency where I needed to quickly disconnect my power, I would just remove these two, 1, 2, take this bottom panel off, and then I can just pull my power cable down like that and disconnect it. That's a whole lot faster than if you're panicking for whatever reason, you need to disconnect your power, something shorting out or sparking or I don't know, whatever, something going on. You can access it that way, okay? Now, others may not see that as a good tip, but yeah, I do. Okay, also on these bikes, and not just the stealth bombers, but most of these e-bikes are pretty darn heavy. And let's just say I went through about 2 or 3 kickstands because I wanted to have a nice looking kickstand for one, and it also needed to be adjustable, and it needed to be sturdy enough to hold these heavy e-bikes. And most of the adjustable kickstands that I purchased, they're metal on the main part, and at the bottom, the adjustable part is plastic. So every time, for the most part, this bike is tall, so I always had the plastic part extended just about all the way out. And it never failed. This bike is so damn heavy that it would always break the little plastic adjustable part or bend it. So, a friend of mine, I'm not going to take credit for this, but a friend of mine found this kickstand here on Amazon. It's actually a motorcycle kickstand. It is heavy freaking duty. This metal pole is solid metal. It's not a hollow tube. It is solid freaking metal. And it has a heavy duty mounting clamp. You can't see it that good because I colored it black with a Sharpie, big old Sharpie. I'm going to spray paint it, but it was all silver like this. But it has a back bracket, as you can see, and 2 bolts on the top, 2 bolts on the bottom. And I mounted it right over top of, this is where the kickstand normally goes. This swing arm has a lip down here that hangs off. Now, this clamp is a lot wider than just this swing arm. But by me putting it down here over the lip part, it actually was almost perfect to where as though Once I locked the top in completely, the bottom screws still went over top of that little lip part, and it just worked out perfect. And when I tell you that kickstand there is nothing but the truth as far as strength, I can actually have my pedals like that, and I can step my fat ass on that pedal and step up onto my bike with myself being completely off the ground, if you know what I mean. My other leg up in the air, and swing my leg over and sit on my bike, and that kickstand will hold the weight of the bike and myself up, no problem. And it gives my bike the perfect angle as far as the little lean. So yes, that's an awesome kickstand. I'll put the link in the description for that kickstand on Amazon. And it's a motorcycle kickstand. Alright, so those are my tips for the stealth bombers, and you can utilize those tips on other bikes as well. Let's see, what I have down here is some stuff that I'm going to be using on a secret project. Not everything is part of my secret project, but I'm not going to disclose what my secret is. But this is a mod that's going to be for speed, and I'll show you what some stuff is I'm using. But at this point, I'm not going to say how I'm going to use it. Like I say, man, you gotta have an edge when it comes to racing. And if I give out all my edges, I won't have an edge. Now, will I? This right here is something I should have had hooked up on my bike. And you notice I haven't had it hooked up because, unfortunately, when I got my bike, the two that came with my bike, I accidentally ran them over because I was working out front, getting ready to I had them on my keys, and it sounds crazy, but yeah, I backed up and ran them over. And that's the transmitters for the alarm system on my bike. Now, a lot of guys don't use these, just like my buddy, who was a good friend as always and sent me these because he didn't use them. He had two of them. What a pal. What a buddy, what a pal this guy is. And I told him what happened with mine, and he said, hey man, I got two of them, I don't use them, and he mailed them to me. So, two different types, they do the same damn thing, but one is black, the other is silver. And I'm going to use my alarms because I like the fact that it locks that back wheel, you know, with the magnets. It energizes it so that wheel can't turn. I like that because, let me tell you something, nobody is going to be able to just push my bike away. This thing will have to be carried away. And unless there's Superman or Popeye, or it's 2 or 3 guys, it's going to be a job toting this thing off trying to carry it. By that time, the alarm's going off, the GPS is activated, and I'll be done ran down on you and put some hot ones in that ass. Because I ain't playing. And yeah, I stay like that at all times because my philosophy is I would much rather be caught with one than without one. And that's just how I roll. Hopefully I can get me a permit soon, and you know, claim that I'm a business and all that, and have one. No need for me to show you that. Okay, now these are part of the ingredients of my little secret that I'm going to be working on. And I don't know why they split them up, but I actually ordered 2 boxes of these, and each box comes with 2 of them. One box came and the other box is supposed to come today. Now, these are lithium polymer batteries, high performance, 9,000 milliamp hours. 9,000 milliamp hours is the same as 9 amp hours. And this is 11.1 volt battery. So, you figure out, or you guess what you think I'm going to do with four 9 amp hour batteries that are 11.1 volts. Again, there's 4 of them. Anyway, yeah. And they're nice and compact. And because my battery uses large cells, well, as far as high capacity cells, my battery physically isn't as big as most people's battery, 40 amp hour battery. My battery is a lot smaller, and I actually have a nice little bit of extra room around my battery for right now. Now, yes, as you all know, I've been saying this forever. Unfortunately, haven't done it yet, and I'm still not able to do it right now because I'm just so damn busy with all kinds of crazy crap right now. But eventually, things will slow down and I will be able to do it. And that is build my own pack. I have everything, and I mean everything, to build batteries with. I have the cells, I have the welder, I have nickel strips, I have the copper strips, I have the shrink wrap, I have the Kat-Bond tape. I have everything but the time to sit down and do it. So in the meantime, I'm like everybody else. I'm using a bought pack that I bought. And as you can see, I'm even buying these for now and to save time. And like I said, I got plenty of room to fit 4 of these inside of there along with my pack. And you know, you can let your imagination kind of figure out what the purpose of these is going to be. But these are high power. They're 100C, each one of them. They already come with nice little high power, you know, heavy gauge wire, or 10 gauge. That's enough for this pack singly. Now, you know, I could be combining all 4 of them. I could be putting them in parallel. I could be putting them in series. I could be putting them in series parallel configuration. And what am I going to run off of? Who knows, you know? But yeah, I got plans. I got big plans. Another thing, as you can see down there, I forgot I had 3 of those things now. And guess what? Not only do I have 3 of them, what I didn't even realize is, where's this one down here on the end? That one right there. It looks exactly the same as the other 2. Of course, these look exactly the same too, kinda. One is 5.5 amps, the other one is 5 amps. Now the crazy part is, that one right there is 10 amps. And that one came with my battery. And when I got that, when I first got all my parts to build my bike. I was so in a rush to put this thing together that, I was throwing stuff here, throwing stuff there, looking in. I looked in the box and I saw that and I was like, oh, I got another 5 amp charger. I just automatically assumed it was another 5 amp charger. Didn't even read all the specs on my battery pack that I bought and what kind of charger it came with. But that 40 amp hour battery came with a 10 amp charger. And as I told you guys in another video, a 10 amp charger is not fast charging. Now, do they call it a fast charger? Yes, they call it a fast charger because compared to a 2 amp charger, it's a fast charger. But is that actually fast charging your battery, your 40 amp hour battery pack? No, a 10 amp charger is not fast charging a 40 amp hour 10p pack. A 10 amp charger on a 10p pack is only providing, each cell is getting 1 amp. If you're charging with 10 amps and you got 10 cells in parallel, they're only getting 1 amp when you're charging. That's not fast charging. That's just basic nominal charging, and it's hardly nominal on these cells. Anyway, that being said, and I'll tell you why. If you ever looked at the guy on YouTube that builds the cyber bikes, and he also does van life now, Lottie, what's his name, Lottie or something like that. Anyway, those cyber bikes come with what he calls a fast charger, and it is a fast charger because if you notice, he says those bikes charge in 1 hour. That's fast charging. A 10 amp charging a 40 amp hour with 10 amps is not fast charging because it would still take 4 hours to charge that battery pack. And that's not fast. That's just, a normal, but it's a good rate of charge. Don't get me wrong. It's a whole lot better than using a little 2 amp charger. A 40 amp hour would take 20 damn hours. All you got to do is do the math on it. You figure out how long it should take to charge and determine whether or not you think that's fast charging or not. But you actually need to break it down per cell, how many amps each cell is getting. Alright, now, as you can see, because I'm cheap Charlie, I took initially those 2 5 amps and I put them in parallel to make my own 10 amp charger. Why would I go out and buy a 10 amp charger that costs $200, $300 when I already have 2 5 amp chargers that came with the batteries or come with 72 volt batteries that I had? Because I'm cheap damn Charlie at the end of the day. Cheap Charlie ain't gonna spend no money that he don't need to spend. You know what I'm saying? I could tape these together or strap them together with some Velcro. And actually, if you saw the other video, I split the power cable, the AC line coming in. So both of them run off of one AC line. So I only need one output, one wall output outlet. And I actually have 2 different ends on both of those chargers because I got two different charge types on my bike, and I like it that way. That way, if I ever don't have my charger and I want to use somebody else's charger, they say, yeah, you can borrow my charger. What kind of connector do you have? Well, I got both of the main connectors that people use on these bikes. I got the XLR connector and I got an XT60. That's my charging port for my XLR connector, and I just got a XT60 male plug sticking out the side right there. But I'm going to get another nice smancy one like that for my XLR, or make myself one. But for now, I got a little one hanging out there, and you know, that's okay for now. And like I said, I used both of those chargers at the same time, and my pack's getting charged with 10 amps. Okay, now that I discovered that I had a 10 amp charger, yes, Cheap Charlie is going to do it. I'm going to put all three of those in parallel, and guess what? Then I got a 20 amp charger. You know, maybe I'll strap them all together, and guess it's still about the same size as a 20 amp charger. If I was to go and buy a 20 amp charger, it's going to be about that size, maybe a little smaller, maybe a little bigger, I don't know. But I'm Cheap Charlie, and I'm fine with using all three of them to be charging at 20 amps. And I'm sure some wannabe tech head is going to tell me, oh, you can't do that. Oh. Okay, whatever. All right. To that I say whatever. But yeah, now instead of, you know, messing up my charge cables permanently so they can't be used individually, because I could tie all three of them together on one connector, you know, but I'm not going to do that. I'm still going to leave them with individual outputs in case somebody else needs to use a charger, or in case I don't want to carry all three of them. I can just carry the one 10 amp charger. But if I want to really charge faster, I'm going to have all of them combined for 20 amps. And that means if my battery was completely dead, which it'll never be completely dead, but if a 40 amp hour pack was completely dead, you could charge it full charge in 2 hours with 20 amps. Now, my bike is normally only down to about 30%, 20% when I charge it. So for the most of the time, that means I'll be able to charge my bike in about an hour and 15, hour and a half, whatever. That's pretty good. So yeah, I will be using all three of them. And I could just put a parallel adapter on this, you know, to combine these two into one. So yeah, that's it. All right, those are my little tips for this morning. I done ran my mouth long enough. Good gracious of life, it's been over half an hour, I think. But anyway, that's how it is on these talking videos, and when you're trying to get your point across. So yeah, like I said, I know my buddy's gonna still say, man, just buy a big chart. Nope, I'm not gonna use what I got, because once again, for about the 5th time, I'm gonna say it again, I'm Cheap Charlie. I used to be C-Scholar, bill controller, ass bone breaker, backbone swoller, but not anymore. I'm retired. So yeah, and I said it wrong. I think it was C-Scholar, big bill folder, ass bone breaker, backbone swoller. That's some stupid shit I used to say when I was young. But anyway, y'all take it easy, take care. We are OUT out of here. Deuce.